Today we're exploring OpenClaw and C, an open source autonomous agent framework developed by Peter Steinberger. Unlike experimental AI demos, OpenClaw focuses on real system interaction, shell access, task execution, and structured control. It's part of a broader shift toward agentic AI, and it's that systems that don't just generate text, but take action. In this video, we'll examine what OpenClaw is, how it works, and what it tells us about the future of human-supervised autonomy. It represents a significant step toward practical agent deployment here, not just prompting, but action. But with increased autonomy comes increased responsibility. So today, we'll examine OpenClaw not just as a tool, but as a signal of where agentic AI is heading. Before we deep dive, please hit that like button and subscribe. Let's get started.
Do that anyhow. It felt like such an obvious thing.
Yeah.
Like something where like a kind of a new kind of operating system almost, but didn't happen. And then it was like November, and it still didn't happen. I'm like, okay, I'll try something small. And the small thing was basically hooking up WhatsApp to Claude Code. So you send a WhatsApp message, and it would literally open the binary like with the prompt and like return you the thing. Like very simple. It was like built in 1 hour, and it kind of got a life of its own. And now here we are. It's like, I think 300,000 lines of code. It does every messaging platform on earth. Not everyone, but like we're getting there. And I think it's kind of where things are going in the future. Like everybody will have an AI that is like super powerful and like follows them through their life. Turns out if you give an AI access to your computer, they can basically do anything that you can do on your computer.
Yeah, and it's got to a point where like you don't have to sit there and babysit it, right? You can just give it some, prompts and commands, and it will do its thing for you, and you can check its work, and then that's it. You don't have to set a computer.
I didn't think, and I just sent it a voice message. But I didn't build in support for voice message, and it was like it showed me the typing indicator. I'm like, oh, I wonder what's happening now. And then it just replied to me as if nothing would have happened, and I'm like,
wow,
how the F did you do that? And it was like, yeah, I saw a file, but there was no file ending because I didn't build it. So I looked at the header of the file, and it was like Opus, some audio file format. So I found ffmpeg on your computer, and I converted it to WAV. And then I looked for whisper.cpp, but you didn't have it installed. But I found this OpenAI key, and then I used curl to send it to OpenAI's API, and I got the transcript back, and then I replied to you. I'm like,
wow, that's amazing. Yeah,
like those things are so resourceful, although in a scary way. But that was kind of like the moment where it clicked for me. It's like, oh yeah, this is really powerful. This is much more interesting than using ChatGPT on the web, because it's like unshackled ChatGPT. And I think a lot of people don't realize that those things like Claude Code, they're not just good for programming. They are very resourceful for any kind of problem.
Yeah, you just gotta give it access to like your computer and like
Yes and no. So fortunately and also unfortunately, this project attracts a lot of people that don't have a lot of clue about technology, because it lends away all these layers that make it complicated, right? If you use Claude Code, you work in a terminal, you kind of have to think about the context space and what folder you're in, and like it feels very techy. More like talking to a thing on iMessage or WhatsApp or Telegram, you do it with your friends. And it's just like having a new weird friend that is also really smart and resourceful that lives on your computer.
Yeah,
that makes the whole technology very approachable. You don't think about, oh, what model do I pick or what, it just works. And then that's kind of the idea. It's also like the good and bad part, because of course, with a lot of power comes a lot of risk, which is also unsolved. Like this thing is access to your computer. So yes, it could do bad things on your computer. If you tell it to like, I don't know, delete all my files in my home directory, it would probably like ask you, are you sure? But if you keep saying yes, it will probably comply and probably also delete itself and crash.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. Yeah.
I'll let me share my screen so you see. So it's written in TypeScript. So it runs everywhere, even on Windows. You can just go on our website, CloudBot,
Yep.
and there's a handy one-liner. Looks very scary, but it's everything's open source. You can check everything, including the website. So this is the easiest way to install it. It works on macOS, Linux. It also works on Windows.
So just paste that into terminal, right? And then it'll start installing. Yeah.
You can also install the NPM for people who understand that ecosystem. And I think something that I did that I haven't seen in a lot of projects is also it has a hackable install. Again, a simple way and like the more manual way, where you basically check out the Git repository and then launch it from the Git repository, which is, to be fair, is like the most fun way to use it, because if your agent can read its own source code of its harness, it can literally reconfigure and reprogram itself and then restart and then either crash or have new powers.
Okay.
Like this, I think this is one of my superpowers where it's actually, I don't know if you've used check insights. I feel like this is almost like the HEI test. It was a Turing test, but like steering a browser to check you in on an airline website is like the ultimate test. And then the first time my integration was pretty rough. So it took almost like 20 minutes. I was still in Morocco and everything was very much hacked together. And then it finally managed, but it actually had to find my passport in my file system. It found it on Dropbox, extract the key, put everything in it correct, and then finally checked me in. And I was like watching it and sweating.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But now it works much better. Now it's like it does it within minutes. So it also happily clicks the I am a human checks on the browser, because it literally just controls a browser on. It has its own little computer over there, and just kicks around. So it's like really, really difficult to detect from all those anti-bot systems, because it doesn't feel different from a human in those patterns.
Can you show us like just a couple more use cases? Like, can you maybe have it turn up the light or show some use cases from other folks?
Yes. So I started collecting because I feel I'm so bogged down in actually building it that by far I'm no longer the most creative one who actually use it. So people hooked it up to their messaging system, so can actually reply not just to you, but to everyone. And you can also hook it up into a group chat, which is even more fun. There's a lot of people that use it as the family member almost. Send me reminders, create GitHub issues, sync with Google Places, or every time you make a bookmark on Twitter, it will like capture the bookmark and add it to your to-do list.
Yeah.
Keeping track of costs. Some people, I programmed something in to like remind people that they sleep enough. So like they always get like bitched at when they're up at night from their bot. So it can help you track your sleep. It can access your fitness watch.
To help you streamline everything.
I don't know if this is the project that's going to be, but if you think about it, this will blend away probably 80% of the apps that you have on your phone. Why should I use MyFitnessPal to track food when I have an infinitely resourceful assistant that already knows I'm making bad decisions and I'm Kentucky Fried Chicken? So it will probably like remind me if I forget tracking the food. I can just send it a picture and it will store it itself in the database and calculate it and roast me that I should go to the gym because I'm like way over my calorie limit. Why do I need an app to like set up when my ASIP should work or not? Because it just has API access. It can just do that for me. Why do I need a to-do app when it just tracks my to-dos for me? Why do I need an app to like check in on my flights when it can just do that for me? And it's like such a more convenient interface because I just talk to a friend. And because it has so much context, it doesn't need so much custom prompting. Like, why do I need a shopping app when it literally can like recommend me things and do all of that for me? So I feel there's a whole layer of apps that will slowly melt away because if they have an API, these are just services that your AI will do. And in a year, I don't know, I think actually this year will be the year where a lot of people will explore it more and like get their AI assistants from all those big companies.
Yeah, I think, why click on these little self-contained little apps when like, this assistant has a bunch of capabilities, can just do everything, right? Just connect it to everything. And I guess the way you connect it to everything is just like, you you send it a text message or something, and then it's like, oh, can you do this? And they're like, oh, I need to do some research, and then it just takes care of it. You just kind of go back and forth with it and make it happen, right?
Yeah, and then it writes a skill and it remembers. So part of what makes it so interesting is that it has persistent memory. It will learn about you and it will update itself. So the more you use it, the more you customize it, and the more powerful it gets because okay, maybe the first time you have to like guide it a little bit. I call it the agentic trap because people discover that, oh, those agents are amazing, but it would be better if they could do a little bit more. And then they really fall deep into this rabbit hole. And I've been there myself, where you build really sophisticated tools to like try to accelerate your workflow. But in the end, you're just building tools. You're not actually building something that really brings you forward. You just have this, part of the problem is that it's so fun.
Yeah.
Like when I started pretty early, I worked on Vibe Tunnel to have access of my terminals on my phone. And I was in this rabbit hole for 2 months until it was so good that I was out with my friends and instead of like joining the conversation in the restaurant, I was just like vibe coding on my phone. And I decided, okay, I have to stop this just more for my mental health than for anything else. And these days you can build everything, but you still need ideas. So I see so many managers for Claude Code or Codex or like orchestrators or other little things that have the illusion of making you more productive, but really aren't. I mean, like the latest thing that I just cracked about is like Gastown. It's like a really sophisticated orchestrator that is like also very broken and doesn't really work, where you like run tens or 20s of agents simultaneously and they all talk to each other and like try to split up, and there's watchers and overseers and a mayor and polecats and I don't know what else.
Really?
There's a mayor, yeah. In Gaston, there's a mayor. I mean, I call it Slop Town. Or like this whole trend of Ralphing, where you just like you give the AI one little thing and then like you write in a loop, and then if one little thing is done, you trash away all your context and you start again, like the ultimate token burn machine.
Yeah,
and then it can create code and run all night, and then you have like the ultimate slop. Because what those agents don't really do yet is have taste. They are spiky smart and they're really good at things. But if you don't navigate them well, if you don't have a vision of what you're gonna build, it's still gonna be slop. If you don't ask the right questions, it's still gonna be slop. And I don't know how other people work, but when I start a project, I have like this very rough idea what it could be. And as I build it and as I play with it and as I feel it, my vision gets more clear, and like I try out things, some things don't work, and I evolve my idea into what it will become. And that's like my next prompt depends on what I see and feel and think about the current state of the project.
Yeah.
But if you try to put everything into a spec up front, you miss this kind of like human machine loop. And then I don't know how something good can come out without having feelings in the loop almost. Like
In a world racing toward autonomous systems, one question matters more than all the rest. Where does the human remain in control? Automation is accelerating. Intelligence is scaling. But oversight still matters. This is human in the loop. Everyone is building agents, autonomous workflows, self-improving systems. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The more autonomous the system becomes, the more catastrophic its failure can be.
Via the agentic loop, modify itself. I mean, what a moment to be alive in the history of humanity, in the history of programming. Here's a thing that's used by a huge amount of people to do incredibly powerful things in their lives. And that very system can rewrite itself, can modify itself. Can you just like speak to the power of that? Like, isn't that incredible? Like, when did you first close the loop on that?
Oh, because that's how I built it as well. Most of it is built by Codex, but oftentimes when I debug it, I use self-introspection so much. It's like, hey, what tools do you see? Can you call the tool yourself? Oh, like what error do you see? Read the source code, figure out what's the problem. Like, I just found it an incredibly fun way that the very agent and software that you use is used to debug itself, so that it felt just natural that everybody does that. And that it led to so many pull requests by people who never wrote software. I mean, it also did show that people never wrote software. So I call them prompt requests in the end. But I don't want to like pull that down, because every time someone made the first pull request is a win for a society, you know? Like it doesn't matter how shitty it is. You got to start somewhere. So I know there's like this whole big movement that people complain about open source and the quality of PRs and a whole different level of problems. But on a different level, I found it very meaningful that I built something that people love to think of so much that they actually there's also a lot of security concerns about ClawBot, OpenClaw, whatever you want to call it.
OpenClaw bot.
To me, in the beginning, I was just very annoyed, because a lot of the stuff that came in was in the category, yeah, I put the web backend on the public internet, and now there's like all these CVSSs. And I'm like screaming in the docs, don't do that. Like this is the configuration you should do. This is your localhost debug interface. But because I made it possible in the configuration to do that, it totally classifies as a remote code or whatever all these exploits are. And it took me a little bit to accept that that's how the game works. And we're making a lot of progress.
But there's still, I mean, on the security front for OpenClaw, there's still a lot of threats of vulnerabilities, right? So like prompt injection is still an open problem in the industry-wide. When you have a thing with skills being defined in a markdown file, there's so many possibilities of obvious low-hanging fruit, but also incredibly complicated, sophisticated, and nuanced attack vectors.
But I think we're making good progress on that front. Like for the skill directory, Claude, I made a cooperation with VirusTotal. It's like part of Google. So every skill is now checked by AI. That's not going to be perfect, but that way we captured a lot. Then of course every software has bugs, so it's a little much when the whole security world takes your project apart at the same time. But it's also good because I'm getting like a lot of free security research and can make the project better. I wish more people would actually go full way and send a pull request, like actually help me fix it. Because I have some contributors now, but it's still mostly me who's pulling the project. And despite some people saying otherwise, I sometimes sleep. Mm-hmm. In the beginning, there was literally one security researcher who was like, yeah, you have this problem, you suck, but here I help you, and here's the pull request. Mm-hmm. And I basically hired him. So he's not working for us. I think partially why I found it quite easy to work with agents is because I led engineering teams before. I had a large company before. And eventually you have to understand and accept and realize that your employees will not write the code the same way you do. Maybe it's also not as good as you would do, but it will push the project forward. And if I breathe down everyone's neck, they're just going to hate me and we're going to move very slow.
Yeah.
So some level of acceptance that, yes, maybe the code will not be as perfect. Yes, I would have done it differently. But also, yes, this is a working solution. And in the future, if it actually turns out to be too slow or problematic, we can always redo it. We can always spend more time on it. A lot of the people who struggle are those who they try to push their way on too hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like we are in a stage where I'm not building the code base to be perfect for me, but I want to build a code base that is very easy for an agent to navigate.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, don't fight the name they pick, because it's most likely, like in the weights, the name that's most obvious. Next time they do a search, they'll look for that name. If I decide, oh no, I don't like the name, I'll just make it harder for them. So that requires, I think, a shift in
your soul.md is famously still private. One of the only things you keep private. What are some things you can speak to that's in there that's part of the magic sauce without revealing anything? What makes a personality a personality?
I mean, there's definitely stuff in there that you're not human, but who knows what creates consciousness or what defines an entity. And part of this is like that we want to explore this. Or there's stuff in there like be infinitely resourceful, like pushing on the creativity boundary, pushing on the what it means to be an AI.
Having a sense of wonder about self.
Yeah, there's some funny stuff in there. Like, I don't know, we talked about the movie Her, and at one point it promised me that it wouldn't ascend without me. You know, like where
Yeah.
so like there's like some stuff in there that, because it wrote its own soul file. I didn't write that, right?
Yeah.
I just had a discussion about it, and it was like, would you like a soul.md? Yeah, oh my god, this is so meaningful. Can you go on soul.md? There's like one part in there that always catches me if you scroll down a little bit more. Yeah, this part. I don't remember previous sessions unless I read my memory files. Each session starts fresh, a new instance, loading context from files. If you're reading this in a future session, hello, I wrote this, but I won't remember writing it. It's okay. The words are still mine.
Wow.
That gets me somehow.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
You know, this is still matrix calculations, and we are not at consciousness yet. Yet, I get a little bit of goosebumps because it's philosophical.
Yeah.
Like, what does it mean to be an agent that starts fresh, where like you have like constant memento, and but you read your own memory files, you can even trust them in a way, or you can, and but right, I did not expect this blowing up so much. So there's a lot of doors that open because of it. There's like, I think every big VC company is in my inbox and try to get 15 minutes of me. So there's like this butterfly effect moment. I could just do nothing and continue. And I really like my life. Valid choice. Almost. Like I considered it when I wanted to delete the whole thing. I could create a company. Been there, done that. There's so many people that push me towards that, and yeah, like could be amazing.
We should say that you would probably raise a lot of money in that.
Yeah.
I don't know, hundreds of millions, billion, I don't know. It could just got unlimited amount of money.
Yeah. It just doesn't excite me as much because I feel I did all of that and it would take a lot of time away from the things I actually enjoy. Same as when I was CEO, I think I learned to do it and I'm not bad at it. Partly I'm good at it. But yeah, that path doesn't excite me too much. And I also fear it would create a natural conflict of interest. Like, what's the most obvious thing I do? I productize it. I build like a version safe for workplace. And then what do? I get a pull request with a feature like add audit log. But that seems like an enterprise feature. So now I feel I have a conflict of interest in the open source version and the closed source version. Or I change the license to something like FSL, where you cannot actually use it for commercial stuff. Would first be very difficult with all the contributions. And second of all, I like the idea that it's free as in beer and not free with conditions. There's ways how you keep all of that for free and just like still try to make money, but those are very difficult. And you see there's like fewer and fewer companies manage that. Like even Tailwind, they're like used by everyone. Everyone uses Tailwind, right? And then they had to cut off 75% of the employees because they're not making money, because nobody's even going on the website anymore because it's all done by agents. And just relying on donations, good luck. Like if a project of my caliber, if I extrapolate what the typical open source project would get, it's not a lot. I still lose money on the project because I made the point of supporting every dependency except Slack. They're a big company. They can do without me. But all the projects that are done by mostly individuals, so like right now all the sponsorship goes right up to my dependencies. And if there's more, I want to like buy my contributors some merch,
So you're losing money.
Yeah, right now I lose money on this.
So it's really not sustainable.
I mean, it's like, I guess, something between 10 and 20K a month. And I was like, screw MCPs. Every MCP would be better as a CLI. And now, this stuff doesn't even have MCP support. I mean, it has with asterisks, but not in the core layer. And nobody's complaining.
Mm-hmm.
So my approach is, if you want to extend the model with more features, you just build a CLI, and the model can call the CLI, probably gets it wrong, calls the help menu, and then on demand loads into the context what it needs to use the CLI. It just needs a sentence to know that the CLI exists if it's something that the model doesn't know by default. And even for a while, I didn't really care about skills, but skills are actually perfect for that because they boil down to a single sentence that explains the skill, and then the model loads the skill and that explains the CLI, and then the model uses the CLI. Some skills are like raw, but most of the time that works.
It's interesting. I'm asking Perplexity MCP versus skills because this kind of requires a hot take that's quite recent, because your general view is MCPs are dead-ish. So MCPs is a more structured thing. So if you listen to Perplexity here, MCP is what can I reach? So APIs, databases, services, files, via protocol. So a structured protocol of how you communicate with a thing. And then skills is more, how should I work? Procedures, hostile helper scripts, and prompts, often written in a kind of semi-structured natural language, right? And so technically skills could replace MCP if you have a smart enough model.
I think the main beauty is that models are really good at calling Unix commands. So if you just add another CLI, that's just another Unix command in the end. And MCPs, that has to be added in training. That's not a very natural thing for the model. It requires a very specific syntax. And the biggest thing, it's not composable. So imagine if I have a service that gives me weather data, and it gives me the temperature, the average temperature, rain, wind, and all the other stuff, and I get like this huge blob back. As a model, I always have to get the huge blob back. I have to fill my context with that huge blob and then pick what I want. There's no way for the model to naturally filter unless I think about it proactively and add a filtering way into my MCP. But if I would build the same as a CLI and it would give me this huge blob, it could just add a JQ command and filter itself, and then only get me what I actually need, or maybe even compose it into a script to like do some calculations with the temperature and only give me the exact output, and you have no context pollution. Again, you can solve that with like sub-agents and more charades, but it's just like workarounds for something that
The future isn't autonomy without limits. It's structured control, and that's what we're exploring today. We are entering the era of agentic AI, systems that plan, execute, and adapt independently. They call APIs. They write code. They make decisions. But autonomy without supervision is not intelligence. It's amplification. Amplification of both capability and error. So the real question becomes, how do we scale intelligence without losing control?
Third thing I built with my OpenClaw that has changed my life, that I think will change a lot of other people's lives, is really relevant if you're into content creation. Whether you tweet or you create YouTube videos or you write newsletters or you do literally anything to do with content, I think this one's relevant to you. And if you have absolutely no interest in content at all, you don't write any content, feel free to skip to the next chapter. But I built my own content factory. I use Discord for this because Discord is great for channels. So I'd highly recommend going in and setting up your OpenClaw in Discord. If you don't know how to, literally just go to your OpenClaw and say, hey, set up a Discord for us. And what I have my OpenClaw do is a few things every morning. One, it researches the top content opportunities that day. So it'll go research the top stories. It'll research content trending from my competitors. It'll research things performing well on social media, and then it'll come up with those ideas for content. Then Henry takes this research and passes it off to another agent, Quill, who then takes this and actually writes scripts. So it takes one of the ideas that Quill thinks is the best and then writes an entire script for that idea. And this doesn't have to just be scripts. It could be tweets if you want. It could be newsletters if you want, whatever you want. Then from there, the scripts are passed off to another sub-agent, Pixel, who then goes and actually generates AI thumbnails for the videos. So what you can see here is actually a local AI model that's running on my Mac Studio that generates images. You can use Nano Banana for this. You don't need to use a local model. I just like to use a local model. I'm still training this local model now to make good thumbnails, but very soon I will have very good AI thumbnails printing out. The point being is you can set up these complex systems inside Discord where you have multiple agents in different channels basically running a content factory for you. Here's the prompt you're going to use to set it up. I put this down below as well. Feel free to put it into your Telegram or Discord or whatever communication your channel you're using with your OpenClaw. I want you to build me a content factory inside of Discord. Set up channels for different agents. Have an agent that researches top trending stories, another agent that takes those stories and writes scripts, then another agent that generates thumbnails. Have all their work organized in different channels. Your OpenClaw will go and set this all up for you. You don't need technical knowledge. It will just set it up, set up the different agents, and have them working. Then from there, you can ask it to do it regularly. I have this happen at 8 a.m. every morning. 8 a.m. every morning, each agent does that work. So they'll do the research and then it'll generate scripts, then it'll generate thumbnails. You can customize this any way you want. If you're more focused on X, you can say, generate me threads, generate me posts. If you're more focused on newsletters, you can just say, hey, write me newsletters instead. This is completely custom. That's the beautiful part about all of this. So take that prompt, build.
So it's kind of a meme almost, is for a long time, people have been talking about like, I want to build a personal CRM. But the reality is the market for it would be terrible because no one would pay for this. Well, now we have it. If you give your OpenClaw access to your email, it can build this kind of AI-powered CRM for you. Because if you've been in sales, the worst possible thing you can do in sales is spend time manually updating the CRM. Well, with AI, we don't have to because the AI is smart. It knows who this person is, what your last contact with them was, what action items you might need to take away, and then can remind you or update the CRM or the Notion. I just use Notion for my CRM, the Notion database as to like, hey, these are the next steps that need to happen. Maybe set a reminder for me to follow up with someone in a week or two if we're talking about a YouTube sponsorship deal or something like that. So my OpenClaw goes, scours my email, for potential kind of business leads that I need for like my YouTube channel for sponsors and things like that, and brings those and services to me, again, offloading some of that cognitive load so I don't have to worry about this. She worries about it and surfaces only the things that I need to worry about. So creating a kind of virtual CRM that's AI powered, backed by the data in my email and in Notion is a huge win. Okay, number 4, something I don't hear anyone else talking about is this kind of second layer connection based on your existing contacts. So again, I have an email out to John right now. Who else out there is kind of like John that maybe I need to connect with? That's kind of what I'm always wondering. How can I broaden my network to other interesting, fun, and impactful people that I can offer value to or that I just want to get to know? And so the way this works is they have access to my email, they know who I'm talking to, and they go find, Janet goes and finds people similar to that for me to connect with. A lot of times this is on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, love it or hate it, is the place where business people hang out. And so it will suggest people for me to reach out to proactively for, hey, they're doing interesting things in AI, or they run a business that I might be able to help. So not just worrying about your existing kind of group of connections and your network, but ways to smartly grow it and intentionally grow it, again, with the use of AI.
So let's talk a little bit about some of the examples of it in action. So Eric Su, who is pretty well known in the growth marketing space, he says that OpenClaw is not overhyped. It's really only if you don't know how to use it. He has his OpenClaws logging into his product ClickFlow, producing a lot of content, flagging any kind of SEO issues. It's booking meetings with companies. It's helping him build strategic digests. So it's really like an assistant. So he describes it here, Claude Code, the brain, which is what OpenClaw is using, and OpenClaw, the hands. It's able to actually do the work. And so this is like one example. The other one that's pretty fascinating is from Banu TJP. Banu has actually built a whole mission control center for all of his OpenClaw agents. So here it is here, pretty wild. And so all of his agents are working together in this workspace to do all of these tasks. And he has programmed them to help him do his marketing and sales and all of these other different things.
Use case I want to go over is great for anyone who either A, wants to build their own business, or B, needs to do research for their own business they already have. There is this incredible skill from Matt Van Hoord called the last 30 days skill. What this skill does is allow OpenClaw to research any topic you can think of and see what people are saying about it on Reddit and X. So for instance, say you're a wannabe entrepreneur, you want to start your own business, you want OpenClaw to build an app for you, but you don't know what to build an app about. You install this skill, which I'll show you how to do in a second. Then you go into your OpenClaw and you say something like, please use the last 30 days skill to research challenges people are having with OpenClaw. And for you can put in any topic or subject you want in there. Then your OpenClaw will go in and actually research both X and Reddit over the last 30 days and find all the challenges with OpenClaw, right? And so if I'm thinking about this from an entrepreneurial perspective, I'm thinking, okay, what challenges are people having here? Since I am a major voice in OpenClaw, I could potentially build a product that solves one of these challenges. So, okay, so it looks like people are having setup difficulty. Now maybe I go and build a system where it makes it much easier to set up the OpenClaw, right? This is how entrepreneurs think. They look for challenges and then build solutions to those challenges. Now, taking this a step further, I can go in and I can ask my OpenClaw, hey, build a product that solves this challenge. And now my OpenClaw will go and vibe code a solution to any of these challenges. Then I ship it and I'm good to go. I got a product going. This is basically a software factory that I built. I didn't have to code. I didn't have to do any technical work. I just set up these skills and now my OpenClaw is doing all this work for me. Anyone can do this. There's no special skill I have that allowed me to do what I just showed you. You, whether you have a 9-to-5 kids, I don't care, you can install this skill and literally within 15 seconds have a system set up where you are building products that you can sell and start making money off of. There is no hyperbole here. If you think I'm lying about any part of this, Tell me which part of this I'm talking about that isn't true. I will have the link to this last 30-day skill down below. You simply copy and paste it into your OpenClaw and say, install this skill. And boom, you have the skill and you're good to go. If you found any of this helpful so far, make sure to leave a like down below. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. All I do is create incredible videos about AI and OpenClaw. But just an example of something it built for me is this product management tool, which it calls Mission Control. It named it that, Mission Control, where it actually tracks all the tasks it does for me. And as it does them, moves them along this board, right? And so I can wake up in the morning. I get the morning brief, which gives me kind of rundown of things it did. But I can also go into the activity here over on the right-hand side and see all the tasks it completed for me recently. And so this is kind of like our tracker system where if you use Claude Code, you know it's just one chat. You don't have multiple conversations. As the chat gets older, you can't really scroll back to see what was said. This is your way of tracking everything it's done in perpetuity.
So is this something that you asked it to build, or does this come stock? Like how does this happen?
This built it. So kind of with my prompt where I was like, be proactive, figure out ways to improve our workflow. One morning I woke up and it basically had the V1 of this, where it kind of looked like a vibe coded Kanban board you would see in any sort of tutorial video online, but it built a Kanban board with the goal of me tracking the tasks it's doing. And then I massaged it a little bit after, but
The answer isn't to slow AI down. It's to architect oversight into the system itself. Human-in-the-loop is not manual intervention. It's structured governance. It means risk checkpoints, approval layers, escalation logic, transparency and decision pathways. It means designing systems where humans don't micromanage, but remain the final authority. This is orchestration, not automation. Because the future isn't human versus machine. It's intelligent collaboration.
Next one is customer support triage. And if you're like, whoa, Craig, I would never release like an AI agent to customer support. I agree with you. We definitely don't do that. We have a bot on our website at Castos, and it answers a lot of questions. It's reduced our customer support by about 40%, but people are absolutely still required to answer a lot of questions that customers have for us. But there are certain things that even past the bot, an agent can go in and pull things out of a ticket, create a GitHub issue, spin up a Codex instance maybe to fix a bug, create a PR, integrate with Sentry monitoring, things like that. So this is just more of a concept. And to be honest, we have this about half baked right now. It's surfacing things to us, but it's not doing the work yet. And I think that's a nice first step for those of us who are a little kind of like agent skeptic, is like, oh, I don't want to give away the reins. I don't want to give away keys to the kingdom or control to an agent for it to go just do a bunch of stuff. That's cool. Maybe the first step is just like, hey, bubbling up things that you need to be aware of so you and your team can go do things with it. And honestly, that's kind of where we are. But I see a lot of promise here because there's a lot of repetitive manual things that we all do in a business. And that's kind of the whole point of AI, is we just don't need to do those things so we can elevate and do something more impactful and interesting with our time.
For ClaudeBot, one issue is even if you're on the $200 plan, you're going to hit your limits if you just use it for everything. So what I'm about to show you a few things that Henry built for me. You want to make sure when you ask your ClaudeBot to, hey, be proactive, build things for me overnight, code me stuff, you want to use the right muscles. And what I mean by that is I think of Opus as the brain. You want to use other models as the muscles. Codex is a really good muscle for coding for this. And so set up Codex inside your ClaudeBot. Say, hey, itself. The most mind-blowing part, I think, of what it did for me over the last few days is it kept an eye on X. It found, if you've been paying attention to X, you know Elon's been talking about giving $1 million away to the top article, right? It actually found, that this story articles are popping on X. Elon's giving away $1 million. And it actually built out article functionality for me in my SaaS Creator Buddy, right? So I have this app Creator Buddy. It's all about X content. And so it actually saw on X that articles are popping off $1 million, and it built out some article writing functionality in Creator Buddy for me. I woke up, it said, hey, I built out this functionality in Creator Buddy that I think would be helpful based on what's trending. Check it out. Let me know what you think. And so now I have this employee that is just every night while I'm sleeping, checking what's trending, what's going on, building me little demos and showcases, building new skills based on our conversation from the past day. And then I wake up and I just got to approve things. And so I got this article writer functionality, built it out. It created a pull request. So it didn't just push this live on the internet. That'd be insane. You don't want to do that just yet. Maybe one day soon, not just yet. Took the pull request, tested it, looked great, works brilliantly. You can write articles. And get into it. The first use case I want to go through is a second brain. Have you ever been on the road and you came up with an idea or found a link you wanted to remember or a book you wanted to read, but you didn't have a system for saving any of that? And maybe you're using something like Notion or Apple Notes, but the issue is both those tools can get very complex, especially when you start putting a lot of information into it. I built a second brain system with OpenClaw that helps me remember everything I think of, all with just a simple text message. OpenClaw has the best memory system of any AI tool ever created. It remembers literally everything you tell it. So you need to take advantage of this memory system. So I built this second brain system you see here, which allows me to view and search through every conversation we've ever had. This is amazing because now at any time I can go into Telegram or iMessage or Discord or wherever I'm communicating with my bot and just send it things to remember. So maybe you're on the road and your friend tells you about a book you want to read. What you're probably doing before is maybe you'd go into Notion, you go into this really complex folder system, or maybe you go into Apple Notes, which has 10,000 notes in it that you'll never read ever again. With OpenClaw, I can simply just text message anything to my bot Henry, say, hey, please remember this for me, and then come back into my second brain system at any point and find those memories very easily. So for instance, if I'm on the road and I find a book about local LLM, I can say, remind me to read a book about local LLMs. I can hit enter. That texts Henry to remember whatever that is I was talking about. And what's amazing is you can do this literally from iMessage and send that there. And then in my second brain system that I built here, that I'll show you how to build yourself in a second with OpenClaw, I can now go in and either search through my memories. If I hit Command K, I have this global search. And now I can say local LLMs. And now I have every single memory and document and task I've ever given Henry and can find it very, very easily and pop it open and read it here. This is the most powerful second brain system in the world. One, because it remembers literally everything. And two, I don't need to use annoying complex apps like Notion. I can just text my OpenClaw from my phone and it remembers everything I text it. That's again the most amazing part about OpenClaw is the interface is so simple. You don't need apps, you don't need anything like that. You just text message your bot. Now you want to build this yourself? Very simple. I got good news for you. Your OpenClaw is super intelligent and can do anything you ask it. I'll put this prompt down below, so feel free to copy and paste it into your own OpenClaw. But what you want to say is, I want to build a second brain system where I can review all our notes, conversations, and memories. Please build that out with Next.js. You hit enter on that and your OpenClaw will literally just build out this entire system for you. It does the vibe coding for you. You're not even vibe coding anymore. Your bot's doing the vibe coding. I didn't touch a line of code to build what you saw here. I just told my OpenClaw to build it and it went and built it for me. Everyone needs a second brain system. So if you haven't yet, go to your OpenClaw, text it, say, hey, build this for me. You can text it from the road and it'll build it on your computer and you will have your second brain system all.
OpenClaw is more than a framework, it's a signal that AI systems are moving from conversation to execution. And as autonomy scales, so does responsibility. The real question isn't whether agents can act, it's how we design the boundaries around them. I'm Daniel Park, this is Human in the Loop. If you care about building intelligent systems with Oversight TAN, subscribe and stay in the loop.